Mr Deputy Speaker, I am proud that this House stands so united against the tyrant Putin and his murderous regime, and in support of the determination and extraordinary bravery of the Ukrainian people, who face a level of horror and devastation that many have already said, rightly, amounts to war crimes. But in the short time available to me, I want to take a step back. I want to focus a little more on what got us into the situation we're in now, and on the action that is needed to tackle Putin's long-running hybrid war of both violence and disinformation, which has long been in force, including here in the UK. It is an insidious strategy, one that deliberately undermines our public information sphere and our political institutions, that deliberately seeks to divide the democracies that might stand up to him over Ukraine. So on disinformation, I'd suggest we look no further than what's revealed in the Intelligence and Security Committee of Parliament's Russia report, which warned that there was credible open-source evidence of attempted Russian interference in UK elections. It painted a picture of how Russian state influence in the UK is the new normal, with deep links between the Russian elite and UK politics, and that crucially, the intelligence community had, in its words, taken its eye off the ball on Russia. And it gives me no pleasure to observe that the Prime Minister is personally responsible for delaying, suppressing, and then failing to investigate the Russia report. MPs, including myself, are now having to resort to the courts for a second time to try to get the Prime Minister to finally investigate. We are now going to the European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg. This curious lack of interest in evidence of Russian state interference in our electoral processes is frankly extraordinary and stands in stark contrast to investigations undertaken in the US. And then the violence. As the news about Ukraine darkens even further, increasingly we think the unthinkable. Would Putin, for example, use chemical weapons? And the answer has to be yes, because he's already done it here on UK soil in 2018. The Salisbury nerve agent attack was part of Putin's long-term strategy, message and hybrid warfare. The amount of nerve agent found in the bottle that was used against the Skripals and which killed Dawn Sturgis was enough to kill several thousand people, according to a recent interview with Fiona Hill, a former US National Security Advisor on Russia. Putin wanted us to know that he is prepared to use any weapon. And when he sent a weapons-grade nerve agent to Salisbury, that was a military operation and seen as an attack on NATO. Now, as a result, there was far-reaching international cooperation, including sanctions, and our then Foreign Secretary and now Prime Minister met NATO foreign ministers in Brussels for a crucial, highly sensitive meeting about Russia in the wake of that chemical attack on UK soil. But what we have since learned is the shocking news that immediately following that meeting, the Foreign Secretary ditched his security and travelled directly to the Italian villa of Evgeny Lebedev, the person with the life peerage who is now under so much scrutiny, the person who, as long ago as a decade ago, Sir John Sawyers, as head of MI6, was making clear was not deemed a suitable person to meet. And whilst he was there, the Prime Minister also met Evgeny's father, ex-KGB agent and oligarch Alexander Lebedev. Now, this raises crucial questions. Did the then Foreign Secretary inform the Prime Minister, the FCO and the security services that he was going to fly from the NATO summit to meet an ex-KGB agent? And if so, why was he travelling alone without his security detail? Did he take classified documents with him? Did he inform the Prime Minister, the security services, about the meeting after the trip? Was he debriefed? Did he provide a list of contacts? Let me be very clear. Salisbury was the first use of a chemical weapon in Europe since World War II. It was an attack on NATO soil. And as the minister responsible for overseeing the British response, our now Prime Minister went straight from a classified meeting with the NATO Secretary-General and alliance partners to meet with a trained Russian intelligence officer. That is surely a security breach of the highest possible order. And that is why investigating this, investigating the Russia report, and indeed every part of Putin's arsenal is so very urgent. I say this not to score points. I say it because undermining democracy in the US and Europe has been part of Putin's strategy to divide and confuse the world as he prepared to attack Ukraine. We must be thorough. When the people of Ukraine are dodging bombs and bullets, we should not be dodging the truth.
Yeah.